everyone, welcome back to our channel. We're so happy to have you here. So today we're talking about narcissism and manipulation. So most of our videos are actually always kind of serious, but this one in particular is probably going to be a little bit more serious just because it hits very, very, very close to home for me and for him as well. So let's roll that intro and we will get right into it.
Everybody, thanks for tuning in today. We're going to start off by just kind of defining the two topics that we're going to be touching on today, starting with narcissism. That's an excessive interest in oneself, selfishness, entitlement, lack of empathy, self-centeredness. In all of that stuff can be summed up into like a mental disorder, which you can get help for. But unfortunately, there's just a lot of people out there that don't go get help because their own self-interest is more important to them than the actual help they need. Manipulation is a behavior designed to exploit, control, and otherwise influence others to one's advantage. It's also something people use to remove guilt or responsibility and accountability for one's actions. So lots of cases of these things happen to a lot of different people, and today we're going to touch on examples and how we've figured out how to kind of recognize when you're in these situations.
So with narcissism, I have experienced this, and it's awful. I was experiencing this for probably close to 5-ish years, a little over 4 years, and it's funny because you think that you first have the idea, okay, maybe it is narcissism, and then you kind of question it a little bit because, well, narcissistic people are crappy humans. Sorry, they're crappy humans, and it took me literally 4 years to really be sure, just because of how fucked up this person is, and it started affecting almost everything in my life, which is really quite sad. And I am a believer in you only have obviously control over yourself, on how you feel, all that kind of stuff. And the fact that this screwed me up so bad for so long is completely fucked up. And the fact that I know what I know now, I actually am starting to not be so fucked up anymore.
Touching on that, I've obviously also dealt with narcissism in my life as well. Not gonna name names or anything like that, but it's relationships wise. And yeah, when people do these things, when these narcissists get involved with other people, it really throws the victim of that narcissism into a heavy questioning of their own value, their own sanity, their own self-awareness, because you really question how people think this way. You really question what goes on in your head, and whether or not these people are validated or not, and you really have to sort out all of this stuff and figure out yourself again. You almost have to get to know yourself again.
You do.
And being on the outside of it, you look back on all of that and you wonder how you could be so naive. But then you're also very thankful that you do recognize it, and
yeah, if it wasn't, honestly, as shitty as it was, and the fact that it took so long, I am in a weird way kind of grateful for it. I'm not happy about the fact that that these people are probably I'm assuming quite happy that they did this to us. That
they don't feel remorse or anything.
They don't feel anything. Like, they literally just feel like, you know, it's normal to them, which is incredibly fucked up. But all they want is the validation from you. All they want is to take every fucking thing. And basically, it's extremely draining. Well, it was extremely draining for me, and like, I constantly would always question, like, what did I do wrong? Am I enough? All of this stuff. And it took a while to actually, you know, not feel that way after all of that. And like, again, that's something that you helped me with. And, you know, I never thought that actually would ever happen to me. I've heard of things happening like that to me, but, or not, like, to other people. And the fact that it did is just, it feels like a really bad nightmare is what it feels like. And it's just, it makes it, I think, maybe not worse, but it's really sad that they don't feel remorse. They don't care about how you feel. They don't care about how they made you feel. They don't care about the things that they did wrong. They can't admit to shit whatsoever. And they always have to try and have control over you in order to continue this narcissistic behavior. And if you get rid of that control, like, you don't give them anything, well, I mean,
you start to
to
see them for who they really are. And they, unfortunately, in most cases, they just decide to go and try to get validation and value from somewhere else. And they don't actually learn anything or do anything about it. They just go prey on someone else.
They do. And I've seen this in my life happen countless times with this person. And, you know, it's funny because, like, it's almost like they seem to think that you're not necessarily dumb, but that you're not catching on, that you don't know. But what's funny is both, like, Robert's known with his situation and with my situation, we've both known these things for years about them. They just didn't know that we knew. And, you know, I think that's pretty messed up on there. And it's completely psychotic is what it is. And then, you know, at least for me, I try to be this good person and try and see good in everyone. But when you are dealing with these kind of people, like, you know, I'm sure somewhere deep down, there's a little bit of good. Probably a tad. Which, okay, fine, but that's still not enough. They're not trying to grow that good. They're literally, like, content with the way they are, even if they know it's wrong. If they know what they're doing is wrong, they're literally content with it. And a lot of that probably comes from childhood, because nobody's born a narcissist.
No, and I totally agree with you on that. And I think that your upbringing does change it. And I think being a good person is about personal growth in terms of, like, trying to do better and be, you know, be a better person, contribute better. Just kind of all around try to work better with others. And I see a lot of these narcissists that they don't do that because they think, oh, well, I'm good, I'm awesome, I'm whatever. And or they're always right. They always have to feel the need to be right even when they're wrong. Like, I feel like a lot of, like, narcissists and manipulators, you can tell them 2 + 2 is 4, and they'll say, no, it's 5. And they'll believe it.
They're literally, they don't actually click that it's wrong.
They genuinely believe that they're right or that they're telling the truth when they're very clearly lying. And I feel like a lot of times when you get out of it, you, like, kind of get to re-know yourself, and you get to kind of know them from an outside perspective, and you see all of this, and you start wondering to yourself, like, why was I wasting my time on that? But then you gotta realize, you know, you wasted your time on it because you were kind of under a spell.
Yeah, it's actually really creepy, honestly. Like, looking back, like, when you're in it, you think literally nothing of it. Like, you have these, like, little inklings and gut feelings.
Yeah, like right in here.
Yeah, but you don't necessarily do anything with them because they're not like huge yet. They're not anything to necessarily worry about yet.
Yeah.
But like as you go and move forward, the little tiny things that these people do when you're with them, they add up. And you know, like I said, in my situation, I totally noticed these things, but I didn't think anything of it just because, well, they were small, they were building up. And as time went on, and I was with this person and then not with this person, like I said, I noticed when I was with them, but I noticed way more when I was not with this person. I don't know if it's just because like the rose-colored glasses came off. Probably, I don't know.
A little bit.
But a lot of the time, if you're, unfortunately, you know, as much as we don't want to admit it, looks do matter, and sometimes, unfortunately, we get blindsided by people's looks, and for some messed up reason, we are just like, whatever, they're hot.
Yeah.
And that is so wrong. And that's something I learned too, is like, you know, it's like you can be a good looking person and be fucking phenomenal. Okay?
Yeah.
But there's also good looking people out there that are not phenomenal, that are narcissists, that are manipulators. But there's also not such good looking people either that are the same thing.
Yeah.
So basically you kind of just have to learn and grow and like kind of educate yourself on these things to make sure that you are aware and that you can actually notice these things, and take from maybe our examples today and experience, to give you kind of like a little, I don't know, help you with the red flags.
Yeah, a little bit of a cheat sheet almost.
Yeah, because like when you have those feelings, those gut feelings, like you probably should listen to them and not just be like, oh, they're hot, whatever, I'm so lucky. No, you're really not. And a lot of the time they use their looks and their charm to, well, manipulate to keep you on their, I don't know,
their path.
On their path, and so that you do what they want, when they want, always on their schedule. Because like in my experience that I had, I mean, it was always whatever was convenient for him. It was always on his time, you know, like he would say, you know, we'd always do whatever I wanted, which was not true. That was not true. I would always try to make sure that we were both happy with what we were doing. You know, if it was only whatever I wanted to do, I wouldn't have even asked, you know. But I always asked, like, it was always very weird, always very contradicting, always very like, you're the problem, I'm perfect, you know. I would give fucking compliments, and it's not that I expect compliments back, but it's just, I maybe got, I don't know, one throughout the whole time, and also it was really weird too, that like, usually if we fought, it would be over text. It would hardly ever be in person, which I thought was really weird. I don't know if that's anything. I'm just throwing that out there. But
well, sometimes fighting over text can be a way of allowing that person to be able to think before they speak, right? And so that whenever you say something, they don't get caught off guard because they have time to react. When you fight in person, you don't have time to like stop, think, react,
Fair enough.
From there. You have to respond. And
I can see that because I'm really quick-witted. So very smart. And that's just something too. Like, I'm gonna say this too. Like, if you're getting manipulated by a narcissist, or if you are getting victimized by a narcissist or a manipulator, that does not make you dumb. That does not mean you're dumb. That just means you're a victim, and you have to just go through and pick out what you need from it and what you don't need and leave it there. So like for me, the obvious signs that you're dealing with like a narcissist or a manipulator, like the biggest signs are going to be how often you're made out to be the one in the wrong, how often you're the one inconveniencing them, and one of the big signs you want to watch for is how often they make a point of what they do for you. Yeah.
If they're if they and how they do it. Like if, like for normal people, for example, like let's say I do something nice for you, you're like, for me anyway, my perspective is that you are going to remember the nice thing I did for you.
Oh yeah.
I don't need to remind you.
No.
That I do nice things for you.
No.
Like sometimes, yeah, okay, we're talking about like, hey, remember that time you did this nice thing for me? And I'm like, yeah, I remember doing that nice thing for you. That's different, okay? But if I'm saying like, yeah, I do all of this for you, and it's always what you want to do, and I put up with that, and I do all of this for you, that like that's a red flag right there.
Yeah.
People shouldn't be doing that. People, you do the nice thing, and then you move on to the next nice thing. You don't dwell on those things and remind them of how much you've inconvenienced yourself for them. Okay, and good things shouldn't be an inconvenience in the first place.
No.
The second point about if you're always feeling like you're the one in the wrong, honestly, that takes a little bit more analysis. You have to look back on everything and determine whether or not you're dealing with a narcissist or a manipulator or if you suck.
Yeah.
If you suck, that's okay. Learn, grow, advance yourself. But do not get tricked into thinking you suck when it's from a narcissist or a manipulator. If you look back on your stuff and decide that, no, I think I'm doing pretty good and I've grown and I've gotten better, hold your ground on that. Because odds are you're right. Trust your gut. And if you know that you're a good person, like
no, 100%. But like normally, like you're right. But I'm just saying, like, usually the narcissistic people go for those really good people, those people that give a lot, those people that are high value, those people that are just, you know, they're only out there to do good, right? And because they're out there just to take.
Well, a good person will give without expectation.
100%, but
and these narcissists, they prey on that because they want to take without expectation of giving back. So you're gonna. They want to find the people who are not going to expect things back from them.
Which is kind of funny that we have these experiences because we're not, like, we're good people, but we're not like it's not that we expect to have good things, but we just expect to be equal. And
I feel like that's what's helped us get out of those situations, because we may not, like, I personally, I will give without expectation of you know, retribution or anything like that, but I do have a personal standard for myself. So if I am giving and giving and giving and not seeing that at least some sort of reciprocation in effort, it doesn't have to be monetary, it doesn't have to be materialistic, it just has to be some sort of effort in response. It doesn't even have to match, it just has to be a genuine effort. If I'm not seeing that in return, I start raising red flags and questioning things. And that's not to be an ass. It's just a standard I've set for myself.
No, yeah.
If I'm going to give you X, I expect you to give X back. Or Y back, whatever you want to call it. Like, it doesn't have to be the same, but it's got to be effort. It's a genuine effort.
And like one of the things that I noticed from my experience, there was like a lack of effort. Like I said, had this like gut feeling that something was wrong or off, and like when I would ask him what was wrong, he would literally just like tell me nothing, don't worry about it, and just was very passive aggressive about it. And then I felt like, you know, if I kept asking, there was always, like, if I would make him mad, then he would just like almost threaten to just end it. And that also should have been a sign to me, which, I mean, it was, but I, again, didn't really look into the whole, back then, the whole idea of a narcissist, just because, I don't know, you like to believe that that's not the case when it actually is.
Yeah, so. No, for sure. Even for myself in that case, you know, like I was dealing with people who, if ever I was like, well, what's wrong, what's going on, it was always two things either happened. Either I got told there was nothing and there was nothing wrong, and it was just, I was being dismissed as paranoid, which is, again, just trying to like scapegoat onto me. Or, of course, if I said, well, or if I had an issue and I say, well, this is like disrespectful and rude to me, it was never, okay, well, let's work on that. And then, hey, while we're at it, I have some issues too. It was always, yeah, well, fuck your issues, and moving on to my issues I have with you, I'm going to point out everything wrong with you.
But they do it in such
it's such a convincing
different way. It's not literally that simple how they do it. They do it in like such a fucked up psychotic way. Like literally they really do. And then you're sitting there like, what the fuck?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And you're like, did I do something? Like you're racking your brain and thinking. And the funny thing is this is what they want. This is the position they want you in. This is how they want you to think. This is how they want you to feel, because they don't give two flying fucks. And this is like where they can basically control you.
Well, if you don't understand, then you're vulnerable because you're distracted thinking, trying to figure everything out. Exactly.
And so you don't know necessarily what's going on behind your back or anything. But the funny thing is the truth always comes out. Like you can't hide forever, and you screw over really good people,
it's gonna bite you in the ass one day.
It is. It really is. It always comes back at you.
Yep.
Always.
100%. And even in case of like manipulators and things like that, like they will do anything to not take accountability by warping the truth. Okay.
That's kind of connected though. Like narcissists and manipulators are basically the same thing.
Yeah, I feel like, inherently, if you're a narcissist, if you have like these narcissistic issues, like we talked about there, you're inherently going to be a manipulator. And
lie through your teeth.
Yeah, you're gonna control things. You're gonna make people do what you want them to do through your own ways of like distraction and like unremorseful guilt tripping, things like that. Like me, I was like in my past relationships, I've always felt like I was the problem. Like that.
You're definitely not.
Thank you. But yeah, I always felt that way. I always felt like it was like, okay, this is my fault. I'm the one screwing this up. I'm, too needy, or I'm too whatever. And it's like, okay, well, comment below. Okay, if you're in a relationship, or you were in a relationship, and let's say you want to see that person, casually throughout the week, not every day, maybe every day. Maybe you're in a serious relationship and you want to see them every day. Is that needy? I don't think it is.
Nope.
I think it's just wanting to be around that person. I think
you want to surround yourself with things and people you love.
Yeah. So why would you not want to be around them, right?
Yeah.
And these people, they turn around and they will villainize you for wanting this. If you say you want to hang out like almost every day, they go, well, you're being controlling, or you're being needy, or you're being, insecure. They try to find a way to pin it back on you, rather than just say, hey, I love hanging out with you, but I don't want to spend too much time together just yet. Which is a little silly, in my opinion. I think.
Yeah, it is. All of that's like.
Yeah, I think if you're dating somebody, you should want to be around them a lot.
Yeah.
If you don't, I think that your interest in that person is really kind of just not there.
Or narcissistic.
Or is very narcissistic, and you're just getting what you need and then moving on. But I think, and how you tell this stuff is like I said, if you are constantly in the wrong, nobody's wrong all the time.
No.
Okay?
No.
Like even a broken clock's right twice a day. Okay?
Oldest saying in the book.
Yeah. But if a broken clock can be right twice a day, so can a person.
Yeah.
So clearly you can't be wrong all the time.
Yeah.
If you're always feeling like you're the villain, there's got to be a reason. The only way you're always the villain is if you're being manipulated, or you are the villain. But if you're aware enough to determine if you're the problem, and you come to that conclusion, then you are aware enough to fix it and grow and become better. And if you are a narcissist, you're probably not even going to come to that conclusion that you are the villain.
I was going to say.
You are going to victimize yourself more than anything. And pin the responsibility. If you never take responsibility for anything ever, get help.
Yeah. You can't admit to anything, can't take responsibility for anything. I don't know, get people in shit, just to have control over them.
Mm-hmm. Here's another example too. It's not even just if they marginalize their responsibility and overextend others' responsibility. So if they say, yeah, well, I screwed up a little bit, but you screwed up a lot, you better have some good evidence to back that claim up.
Yeah, you gotta back your shit up. And usually, not even usually, narcissists can't back their shit up because it's all lies.
They'll cower. They'll try to avoid the topic. They'll try to avoid the situation when they are being called out, or when they realize that they don't have the ability to back themselves up. They will get out of it because they know that exposure is the only thing that's going to happen to them. So they try to run away.
But you need to expose them. Like that's.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you have someone that is or has, you know, manipulated you and is a narcissist, you do need to expose them so that it stops.
Mm-hmm.
So that other people don't get that treatment that you did. You gotta, we kind of have to like band together to stop it. And like, you can get help for it, but at the same time, it's kind of like, I've heard it's really difficult to fix this. Like, again, like I said, you can get help, but unfortunately for some reason, narcissism is just something that if you have this disorder, you're almost stuck with it for the rest of your life. You just have to kind of know and learn how to mediate it.
Yeah, you definitely have to learn how to mediate it, and you have to. A lot of this is like, I think too, like it comes down to like, as a human culture, it's like a cultural responsibility though that these people need to be called out, that they need to be, you know, pushed out of the harmful positions that they get themselves into, because like as a collective, you know, if we're not encouraging the growth of these negative mental disorders, negative mental mindsets and mentalities, it will help reduce the amount of narcissism people have to deal with in their lives.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's multiple ways of dealing with it too. I mean, excessive trauma, you can go into a survival mode that basically means you're the only thing that matters, and that's not okay. And you will do everything in your power to get what you want and not give anything out, because you are stuck in this permanent survival mode. Other forms of becoming a narcissist is honestly excessive validation too. If you are, let's say you are like a attractive person and you put yourself out there on the internet and all you're getting is validation, it's a slippery slope going from, you know, a compliment to being completely fucking full of yourself and permanently putting yourself into a mindset of self-centeredness and it removes any of that empathy that you might have for other people, because you're so focused inwardly. The only person you have empathy for is yourself. And as a culture, we need to be able to balance things. So stop being dicks to each other. Okay? Stop pushing people into these survival modes, and stop unreasonably validating people into these false sense of entitlements. And you know, if you guys have any other examples of how people become narcissistic, put it in the comments there. You know, we'll read them. We'll go through them. Any good ones, we'll put it into videos in the future. You know, but that's my 2 cents on how these people become that way. And like, you know, manipulation. I mean, that's a coward's way out, in my opinion. If you're manipulating things,
it's
that
all
you can't
a coward's way out, though. Like manipulation, being a narcissist, like all of this. I think it starts off by like a defense mechanism, but it's a defense mechanism gone wrong. And you can't take accountability for anything anymore. No. Because you chose the coward's way out, and you take this like defensive posture on things that honestly don't require a defensive posture. They require an understanding posture. Like a diplomatic posture. Well, yeah, but like if you would have just stayed and like started out and stayed honest and always telling the truth, and no matter what, you just tell the truth. One, if you were the one in the wrong, you could have fixed it a long time ago. Own it and get it fixed. If somebody else is the one in the wrong, could have fixed it a long time ago. Get it fixed. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not that difficult. I get it. Sometimes it's hard to admit to things when you are
Sure.
vastly wrong, like crazy ass wrong.
Yeah,
but you still do it, and because that way it clears out that shit, and you can start new and do the right things and be a good person. Honestly,
like
narcissistic and manipulators, like narcissists are just not good people. Like manipulators are not good people. Like
let's look at an example here too. Like you mentioned how it's hard to admit when you're like severely wrong. Well, look back on your life, and when you've been genuinely wrong, okay, not when you've been accused of being wrong when you weren't, but when you were genuinely wrong and you did admit it, look back on that and tell me if you regret admitting you were wrong.
No.
Exactly.
God, no, because then, like, if
you grow. Yeah, it's hard in the moment, but over the course of your life, you will grow to appreciate the times you admit when you were wrong because you took those opportunities.
But then you have no regrets either. If you don't admit to it, you're gonna live with a shit ton of regrets. Who the fuck wants to do that? It makes you feel awful. And, like, honestly, by, like, just, I don't know, being, like, selfish and a manipulator and a narcissist and all this stuff and, like, you know, thinking that, oh, you do no wrong and you act like nothing has happened. Well, that like, fucks up with, like, your emotions, it fucks up your health, it fucks up, like, everything. It fucks up your head, your stomach, your anything, honestly, in your body. Like, literally, you can get cancer from it. Like, you literally can if you can't, like, if you don't actually figure out your shit and you just, like, stuff it with, like, it's fucked.
Yeah.
It really is, but it does happen, and I've seen it happen, so.
Yeah, well, and the issues with all of that, too, is, like, you know, do you, like, when you mentioned the regret and everything, no matter what happens, being in the wrong and trying to just move past it, it is going to eat at you. And the only thing that's going to happen to you is you are going to find yourself 80 years old in a home with no one visiting you. Miserable. You're going to be that asshole in the corner in your little wheelchair judging everybody because they have their families coming and visiting them, or, you know, they're enjoying the company of their peers. And you're going to be that dickhead sitting in the corner judging everybody because you have filled your life full of regret rather than love. Yeah,
you exactly what he said. And, like, you've pushed everyone away. You basically think that you're better than them, that you don't need anybody, that you're always right. And, like, I mean, I don't know, for me, it bothers me. It's like when I die, hopefully when I'm old, I want, like, people to be there. Like, I mean, I'm not big on the whole funeral thing, but, like, be around and celebrate my life. I want people there to be celebrating my life. I don't want to just die and nobody know.
Yeah, you want to leave behind a legacy of teaching, of, like, you want to know that positive, you contributed to a better world.
Exactly, and that's kind of like what we're doing.
Yeah, and that's what the point of this whole channel is, right? Is to contribute towards making the world a little bit more aware and a bit better in the long run. Like, I want people to see our videos and go, you know what, that's a good point. You know, we need to.
Yeah, you never know who you can help with it, you know?
It's all about having a different perspective. Like I watch other videos of people who do this similar because it's another way of getting more perspective in your life and adding to your toolbox of how to be a good contributing member of society, how to be a good
member of society, and, like, you know, something that narcissistic people and manipulating people don't have is humility, and that is a huge thing you need to have. Like, you're not gonna grow, succeed, nothing. Like, your life's gonna be shit if you don't have humility. Like, it is something that you have to learn. Like, it's not something that's just ingrained in you.
Right.
But through experiences and through, like, accepting your wrongs and, like, mending things and apologizing, and if you need to apologize, you know, just all these things, working on yourself, and even, like, if you don't necessarily know what humility is, and go research it. I mean, we're not gonna judge you. I mean, like, when I was first learning, like, a long time ago, like, when I was a kid, about humility, I had to research it, and I learned, and I was like, okay, I I want to learn how to do this, how to be this, and practice. I practiced it. You can't just look it up and be like, oh yeah, I have so much humility. No.
One thing I will say too, on that point, I hear this all the time, and I think it's very naive. If people will say, if you say you're humble, you're not humble. And
Well,
it's like, hold on, there's scenarios there. If you say, I'm so humble, I'm the most humble, and I do nothing wrong, okay, you're not humble.
No.
Okay, but if you say that you have humility, you can admit when you're wrong, you're still being humble. You just recognize that you have the ability to be humble. You're still humble.
And that's fine. That way is totally fine.
I mean, but if you're a cow about it, then
right? Like saying, "Oh yeah, I'm so humble. Everybody should just love me because I'm so humble." That in itself is like not humble.
That's
like,
narcissistic.
That is narcissistic. But that's what people do.
Yeah.
Like that's my point.
Yeah. You never learn to recognize the differences and all of that. Mm-hmm. Like, if somebody says, "Yeah, I'm a humble person. I can take some criticism," they're humble.
But you have to work on it because, like, taking criticism is hard. Like, I know that for a long time I had a hard time, and like I think even sometimes some people might say I still do. But you know what? The whole point is just growing and getting better. Like it's not about being perfect with taking criticism. It's not
I think
about
for your
that.
whole life, if you like, you'll get like the ability to take criticism certain ways, but then you'll end up having to take criticism in a different way, and that's going to be hard. And then you get used to that, and then you'll get it in a third way, and that's going to be hard.
Because everybody has a different...
Through your whole life, you're going to have difficulties taking criticisms as they come in different forms. Mm-hmm. But
as long as you're willing to, like, grow and accept it, and, like, whether it's right or wrong, at least you're able to, like, analyze it and be like, okay, was I wrong? Was I right? And then you go from there. But, like, whether
compare
you're wrong...
your standards.
Yeah, but whether you're wrong or right, you're literally taking like a humble approach to it. Like you're not being like say if you're right, you're not being like, yeah, I'm right, fuck you, I don't care.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. No, you're being like,
there's a line of respect behind being right too.
Yeah. That's
No, I completely agree.
And that's something that you don't get with narcissistic people or manipulators. Like in my situation, I never got, really, honestly, probably never got apologies for anything. Never.
No, same.
Yeah, I just basically got, well, thrown out in the dust, really. Like I meant fuck all, and you know, that also should have been a big sign. But you know, you're so in your head at the time that it's not like that thought's not there, but it's just not a prominent thought.
Yeah, no, for sure. And even for me in my situation, anytime I would like give, whether that's like an apology for something I did do wrong, or whether that was some sort of aid in different ways, that was always taken. But like, I've never once received an apology. I've never once received any form of admittance of guilt. Like,
but it's almost like they can't do that, you know?
No,
like, it's
I
like
don't
it's
think
not
they can.
ingrained in them where they're like, I'm sorry. It's almost like when, I don't know, you see it on movies and they're like, either it's I'm sorry or I love you, and they're like,
yeah.
And then they're like, I love, and they can't say the word. They like physically can't say the word, and it's almost like that's what it is. Like, don't get me wrong, I have heard sorry.
Yeah,
but it's not sincere. It's not
right?
sincere, and that's what matters. Is that it's sincere.
I've always heard sorries, but I'm like, you got good acting skills.
Right.
You should go to Hollywood. Right. And I've had people and I've had people do like, you know, it's funny because I've had people, you know, tell me, you know, hard emotional things, but they're doing it just to distract from the issues. Like I've had people go like, I love you, and it's like, do you? No, the real answer is that they don't love me. They're just saying that because they want me distracted from what's going on.
See, and now, you saying that is almost like that. I mean, I don't have necessarily proof, but like it kind of feels possibly like that, just because the way that you were treated and how I was treated, it doesn't seem loving in any way, shape, or form. It just seems, honestly,
not in a healthy manner.
No, and now that you've said that, I'm almost like, was I being distracted? Because in that moment in time, if you put it together, maybe it was distraction, you know?
In your situation, like from everything that I've seen, Yeah, I think it is a little bit of distraction, but I think it's also like a little bit of like I don't know if this is the right way to describe it, but it's almost like feeding the machine. So he wants things from you. He wants to take from you. He wants all of this from you. Well, you can't take without putting fuel in, right? You can't drive your car without gas.
Fair enough. And
so
I
it's
guess,
like saying these things is like giving you this.
Like it's like big fuel.
Yeah, it's like for you and how you view love, it's a big fuel into you, right? I don't think that the weight of the words was as heavy on his side as it should have been. I don't think he was putting as importance on those words. I think he was giving them to you as fuel. It's not that they were untrue. It's that it was feeding the machine of validation, if you will, and
fair enough. Like
you being manipulated into like, giving all of that,
so that I would give more.
So you would give more, exactly.
And that makes a lot of sense. Like definitely.
See, in my situations, I feel like a lot of that fuel that was put in was to distract from other issues, right? Like so, I'm doing this to you over here, and I'm saying this to you here, so you're looking over here
so you
while
think that's
I do this over here. Yeah, it's like they're giving this little thing that they know means a lot to you, and they're not 100% lying.
But the fact that there is some lie in it, like the fact that like there's not, like it should not be deceptive. That's just crap, and like
it should be. It should be the honest to God sincerity of what it is. Like,
right.
Like anytime you and I have been like, yeah, you know, like you're my friend and I love you. Okay, that's super sincere. I know it sounded real casual there, but it's super sincere. It's what it is. It's the words you say, the what you do, when you show me appreciation and I show you appreciation. Yeah. It's the fact that we put 100% genuine feeling into that appreciation, and it's not like that we're scripting what we're saying. It's that because we're putting in this genuinity, believe it or not, that's a word. We are expressing it properly because we are actually speaking from the heart.
Yeah, and we're very real with everything. Yeah. Very raw, very real. There's no deception. There's no lying. There's no...
like no sugarcoating.
No sugarcoating whatsoever. Like sometimes, it gets a little harsh, but it's all from like love and caring and wanting to help the other person.
Well, and even like you say, like it's a little harsh, but you know what? Harsh truths are a form of love.
Well, and like
people who love you are going to tell you as it is.
Yeah.
They're gonna they care about you so much that they want you to hear exactly what you need to hear.
Exactly.
And that goes both ways. Sometimes it's, hey, you really need to fix this. And sometimes it's, you are amazing at this. Yeah. Right?
But that's why...
and that's both the same truths.
That's why we've both, like, I think, gotten, like, so much better since we met each other is because of that.
No, absolutely.
Like, I've seen your growth. I'm assuming you've seen mine. And
absolutely, I have.
You know?
100%.
It's because of that. Well, not solely because of that, but it is a big part of it. And,
it's a big factor,
a lot of people won't tell you the truth because, well, they're snowflakes. But
they're tiptoeing around stuff. And
but the only people in my life that tell me the truth and, like, truly care is you and my family. My mom, my dad, and my brother, and obviously my extended family. But... you know. Yeah. And that's what I appreciate. They know that I will tell them the truth as long as they tell me the truth. Like, my entire family knows this. They know how I am. And, you know, sometimes it can be difficult, but that's besides the point.
Like, for me, I know I'm difficult too, but I also know that, like, you know, my family has my back. You have my back. And, like, that's what matters to me. And, you know, like I've always preached to have 4 quarters instead of 100 pennies, right? And it's funny how, like, there's so many different ways to, like, put that saying, because, like, obviously a quarter is more valuable than a penny, but also, like, pennies weigh you down more than a quarter would, right? And a quarter is going to give you more bang for its buck. Yeah. And, you know, that's all people really should be focused on, is the quality of friendships, the quality of that. And it's not just, oh, this person's so much fun, and no, we have a great time on that weekend. It's like, yes, that stuff's important, but also, this person holds me accountable. This person coaches me through rough seas. This person, enforces good behavior.
That's again something that they cannot do.
No,
all
because
of that
they can't
is things
accept these truths.
They can't be accountable for shit.
Yeah, well, that's where the humility comes in, is your ability to.
That's why I say it all stems from humility.
Yeah,
is how you become this better human and do these things.
Yeah, if you can develop solid humility, you can be an amazing person. Yeah. You can grow. You can accomplish things. You can achieve your dreams. You can be a good person and a good influence on others.
I bet you that's like the medicine for narcissism and manipulators. But the thing is I don't know if their brain can comprehend that. Not trying to be rude, but it's...
Yeah. Y'all need to take your cough, cold, and flu and swallowing your fucking pride medicine. Okay? Because have some humility and you can contribute to society in an amazing way.
I feel like humility would be kind of the key, at least the key to start anyway. Because once you have a handle on humility, like we said, you can pretty much...
I agree. I think it is the start because, like, how can you be open-minded if you're not humble? How can you be, diplomatic if you're not humble?
Fair enough, but
you can't listen without humility.
No, no, and it takes work though, and that's a lot of what narcissistic people and manipulators don't like to do. Yeah. Which is funny because it takes a lot more work to be a narcissist and a manipulator because it's all lies, and you have to keep track of all these fucking lies, which is ridiculous. So you're lazy and won't do anything, but yet. Like you're working towards like a bad thing when you could put that work into a good thing, like being humble and bettering your life. To me, that makes no fucking sense. Why you would choose the other way? Like and
it's like, what would you rather do? What do you think sounds easier? Sitting at the table and eating a bowl of soup, or laying on the couch on your back and eating a bowl of soup? Table's easier. Yeah. But the couch, laying on your back, oh, you're lazy, you don't want to get up.
But yet you're making it really hard on yourself.
But now you're like...
And others.
Get the fuck up.
Like you fucked up your life and are still fucking up your life.
Yep.
You're silent.
Domino affecting other people's lives.
Fucking somebody else's life up. Yeah. Like it just blows my fucking mind how that works. Like it's just, if you're so damn lazy, why are you putting so much fucking effort into knocking and tearing other people down? Like what? Like it oh my god.
Yeah, let me just put it this way. I'm gonna get very simple. Okay? People, you're supposed to fuck each other's brains out, not fuck each other's brains up. Okay?
That's really good, actually. I like that. I like that.
Come on! It's that simple.
Yeah.
Stop fucking it up.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if people took it more so that way, it'd probably help.
Yeah. Also, don't be a whore.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't be a fuckboy, don't be a whore.
2023 is coming, and we're in the middle of cancel culture. I am canceling being a whore. Okay? Honestly, let's all just agree that it's time to fucking take accountability, be good people, and just contribute to other lives.
But that's the thing, is these people can't do that.
No, they can't. But the only way we are going to get rid of them generationally is by everybody who's not these things needs to start
coming together
and influencing the next generation to evolve like culturally and mentally into this, like to phase this stuff out. It's like you have to push it back. You have to keep it back. It's like how we've pushed back other things. Okay, like we pushed back, being physically abusive parents by just the next generation. It's just like, one generation's like, your kid steps out of line, hit him with a belt. Okay.
Don't laugh at that.
But then the next generation is just like, well, I didn't like getting hit by the belt, so I'm not going to do that to my kid, right? Yeah. Okay. So let's start pushing out. Let's start pushing in good behavior into the next generation.
Let's your kids.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's what we need to do. Because if we're not traumatizing these people, they're not going to develop into narcissists. If we're not overly causing these things to happen, because nobody's born. It's like how nobody's born a racist.
No,
okay? Nobody's born a narcissist either.
It's like then obviously, well, I don't know, obviously, but I feel like when you do become a narcissist, it's because either you've had extremely bad trauma prior to becoming a narcissist, or you've had a little bit of trauma and you've taken it and blown it up into this big thing that it doesn't even need to be.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's
exaggeration is the thing.
Exaggeration. Yeah. And I feel like that's a big thing. And I feel like obviously narcissists clearly don't know how to let things go, because if you did, you wouldn't be a narcissist, because you wouldn't be holding on to this trauma. Yeah. Everybody has trauma in their life, but it just depends on how you perceive it. That's
true. It is perception, absolutely. And you know, like I look at everything about that and like the perception of all of this. And here's my perception: if you have trauma, get therapy.
Yeah.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with therapy.
No.
It's a safe place, no judgment. It's between you and somebody that will do their best to understand you and what you need to contribute to your life. They are not there for their own gain. Okay, and they will teach you how different perceptions are valid, including your own. Okay. One thing it's funny that you mentioned perception, because I find a lot of people, when they try to argue different perspectives and perceptions, for some reason they always like to leave out the person's perception that they're talking to.
Yeah.
Like if I tell you that this isn't okay and you say it is, myself personally, I'm going to hear, okay, this is the perception of why it's not. I'm going to listen to why you say it is.
Right.
And then we can figure it out in the middle.
Exactly.
But for some reason, people who feel that they're in this position to explain to you what a perception is.
Because they're taking a lazy way out is what they're
doing. They don't want to actually listen to your side of it, right?
Then there's no point of talking to you then. If you're not going to listen to everyone's side of it, then don't talk to every fucking person.
Yeah, it's absolute trash.
There's no reason. It's a waste of fucking time for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so fucking true.
Alright guys, so that was a more serious video. We do hope that you enjoyed it and got at least like one thing out of it that was helpful to you. Like I said in the beginning, that this topic is very, very close to home for both of us, and we thought that it would be a good idea to share it with you all and to get the awareness out there.
And that being said, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe and share our channel if you like what you see here. And also don't forget to hit that notification bell. That way you get notified when we release videos and you stay up to date with all of our content.
And if you're also interested in photography, modeling, or healthy lifestyle ideas, then be sure to check out both of our individual YouTube channels and both of our individual Instagram pages, and also give us a follow over there too.
Alright guys, remember, stay fit, have fun.
Wait a minute, that's the wrong sign off.
Alright. Keep it simple, stay humble.